Hey, Brian from Garage Mall. Today I have this professional floor and furniture repair kit. So let's open up and see what we get inside. Here's some directions. And this is like your prep on both sides. I'll go over that a little more in detail. But you have all these different furniture color markers or floor. So pretty much a pretty good match for just about anything that you have. And then you have these little wax swatches. And it's a pretty hard wax. But again, it's basically matching up what color you have, like for your table. So that's probably a pretty close match. But we can probably even go to this one. So either way, we can find a match, and or you can mix them together if you're good at like mixing colors and swatches and stuff together. And that is kind of like a plane. I'll show you how to use that on the floor. And then this is another basic scraper or plane, as well as that is what you're going to heat your wax up. So on, off, and it does come with a set of batteries. So anyway, let me put the batteries in here, and then we'll show you how it works. Okay, so we have vinyl plank flooring, and this little white spot, very annoying. You can actually see this from across the room. It always looks like a speck of like dust or paper or something. So anyway, so we're gonna try to line our colors up, and I think that marker's a pretty good match. So let's open it up, and then we will basically color that. I think we have to go a little bit darker just because of the nature of it. So let's go to like a mahogany. And you can kind of mix and match your colors too if you needed to. So I think that looks pretty good. And it is obviously a permanent marker, so we'll let that dry. And then that should be a pretty good color match. If not, we can go a little bit darker after it dries. Like that's a black. We can highlight it with that. Or we can go like a walnut, mahogany, or that's the black, so we can kind of like detail that a little bit better. But alrighty, I think that's a huge improvement than a white dot on the floor. Okay, and here is another spot in the kitchen. So we're gonna zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see what we're dealing with. Now we're gonna zoom in again, and then we're gonna use the walnut. So again, we can just kind of get rid of that. I think that's a pretty good match. And you can go over it a second time after it dries and make it a little bit darker. But again, I think that is a pretty good improvement. We might try adding a little bit of black in this one as well. Just maybe make a kind of like a line here a little bit. And I think that's gonna help blend that in a little bit better overall. So we'll come back to that after it dries, after a couple minutes. Okay, so we have a little nick on our kitchen table, so we're gonna try out the wax, and I think that's probably gonna be a pretty good match. And then we might have to use like the mahogany marker to kind of give it some, maybe the black. Okay, so give you kind of an idea. Let me get some more melted off of this. You can see how that is melting onto that. So we can pour a little bit in, fill that little crack up. And again, kind of smooth it out with that tip. But I think we filled that up pretty good. Then with this little plane, we'll go over that. So I think that did a big improvement. Let's go to it a couple more times. But I think we're filled in pretty good. And then if you had to highlight it with some color, you can just kind of go over a little bit, kind of give it a little texture, and we'll let that dry, but then that is filled in pretty good. All right, Brian from Garage Mahal, thanks for watching, and be safe out there. I can't even see it.